Okay, let's get started. So I brought some things, and I want you guys to help me understand what these are. Okay, I brought some representations of some things. Before we get into all the PowerPoint school stuff, what is this? What's that?
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy. This is fluff from my couch. Literally 10 minutes before class, I ripped open my couch, I pulled a bag out, and I stuffed it in here. What do you think this represents in terms of what we do here? Your fats, the extra fluff, right? So we have our fluff. What does this represent right here? Muscle, okay? This is also old ass steak from like last week that was in the back of my refrigerator. I put it in a bag, but I weighed these out, not this one obviously, but the size of this represents what a pound of fat actually looks like, okay? This is what a pound of muscle actually looks like, all right? I actually weighed this on the scale. So you really got to understand that a pound of weight on the scale can be a lot of different things, okay? If you lose a pound of fat, you're losing all this. If you gain a pound of muscle, you're only gaining this much. Remember, this is spread across your whole body. This is not like, this is like a sliver here, a little bit back here, a little bit here, okay? You're never gonna get it all in one spot. And then lastly, it's just water. Yes, it is just water. This is just water, okay? So these are the three different kinds of weights that we're gonna be talking about today, okay? So we have your muscle weight, we have your fat weight, and we have your water weight. These are all the things when you add them together, combined with obviously your your organs and your bones that comprise of what you weigh on the scale, okay? So I put up this quote right here. All fat loss is weight loss. All water loss is also weight loss. All muscle loss is weight loss. But not all weight loss is fat loss. Okay? How many people here when you first came to me, you said, I want to lose some weight. I want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds. And you weren't specific about it. You were just like, I want to lose a certain number of pounds. Or you want to weigh a certain number on the scale, right? Like that's what you think of when you think of getting in shape. That's the problem though, okay? This is why you guys are gonna get access to a whole bunch of great information right now, okay? Because everybody thinks of just weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, but you say you want weight loss, but what you mean is you want fat loss, okay? How many people have heard of the ketogenic diet? Keto. Only 2 people have heard of keto? Raise your hand if you've heard of keto. I need some participation here. 3 of you guys. So if you've followed social media or if you've had friends that have tried dieting, they've definitely talked about keto. And you see them talk about, I lost 20 pounds, I lost 30 pounds. I was on Facebook the other day and a friend of mine from out of town, he was like, I just started keto and I lost 10 pounds in 1 week. That is extremely discouraging if you're somebody who's working out 4 days a week, doing boot camp or doing some other program and you're only losing 1 pound. You're like, I need to do what they're doing. Because they're losing 10 pounds, I'm losing 1 pound, or my weight's not changing at all. But here's what you gotta understand. You remember this? What is this again? Water. That is what they're losing, okay? They are losing water weight. Water weight, again, is weight loss, but it's not fat loss. If I get on the scale and I have this in my body and I get rid of this, am I gonna weigh less on that scale? Of course, okay? So don't be fooled when people are saying I lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, because just because they lost a certain number, okay, but do you actually look different? Did you actually lose fat? Or was most of it muscle and water? And that's what most people are doing, okay? Everybody else that's not here, that don't have the education on this, they're in a competition to see who can lose the most water. Hey, I lost 20 pounds of water in a week. Wow, I lost 15 pounds of water in a week. That's not the goal. You're trying to actually look different, right? When you guys say you want to lose weight, it's because you think you're going to look a certain way, right? So if you were to lose 20 pounds, you still look the same. Are you going to be happy? No, you lost the 20 pounds. You said that you wanted, but you didn't look the way that you want to look, okay? So let's get into that. And before we do, let me hand out these sheets right here, and these are going to be for you guys This is my recommendation on the calories and the macronutrient breakdown. How many grams of protein, carbs, and fats you should be having, okay? I'll get your guys' for you next week, okay? So let's move on to the next one here. What is the best diet? First of all, by show of hands, show me on how many fingers, how many diets you think you've tried in your life. At least 10, for sure. Most people have tried over 10 diets. You have tried keto?
Yeah, but it didn't work out. That was like,
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. So what was your experience with keto?
Okay, so I bought a book. Well, he bought it for me.
Okay.
And then he's like, you're not gonna, like, are you sure about it? I'm like, yeah. And then I tried to follow the instructions, like, no bread, like,
Yeah.
you know, the strict stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not full. Like, I wasn't full. And then I didn't see changes. And then I was like grumpier. And then, like the first day, my head started hurting really bad.
Did you lose weight on the scale though? Like, did you lose a few pounds?
To be honest with you, I think only 2 pounds.
Probably like 2. How long did you stick with it for, if you don't mind me asking?
For 2 weeks.
For about 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, some people, they lose a lot of weight from keto really fast. Some people, not very much. And you'll get those side effects where you're grumpy, you get the headache. That's very common. Here's some very popular diets, and I'm sure if you've done diets before, you know what these are. We got keto, Atkins, Weight Watchers. I'm sure you guys have heard of that, where you have the point system. The low-fat diet, which was very popular probably about 10, 20 years ago. Low carb, vegan, paleo, and just clean eating, right? Eating clean foods. Which one of these is the best? The best diet is the one that you can adhere to. And that basically just means the one that you can stick to. The one that you can actually sustain and do it month after month, year after year, and it doesn't feel like it's super taxing on your body, right? Like you did keto, you had freaking headaches, you had no energy. Like, could you imagine doing that for the rest of your life? So what's the point? You see what I'm saying? Even if you did lose some weight from it, what do you think is gonna happen as soon as you get off that diet? You gain it all back, and most people gain more than they had when they started. So people are looking for, I wanna lose the fastest weight possible, and they're gonna go any means necessary to lose that weight, but once you can't sustain that anymore, you're gonna gain all that back. And what we always try to do here at DFF Bootcamp is make sure you guys have a sustainable option, something that you can follow that doesn't seem like it's crazy hard, that works with your lifestyle, works with your work-life balance, your social life, something you can stick to year-round so you can do it forever. You can keep that fat loss, right? You're not just losing 10 pounds for a month and then you gain it all back and I see you next year and you weigh more than you did when you started. Okay? So let's just touch on the ketogenic diet real quick because this is probably the most trendy thing that's out right now and what everybody is doing and what everyone's saying, oh, my friend lost this much amount of weight. And these are posts that you're gonna see when you're on your journey. People losing 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds and you're like, maybe I should just do that. I'm tired of just losing 1 or 2 pounds. And I'm gonna tell you why that is not optimal, okay? So a proper ketogenic diet, 70% of your calories come from fat, okay? 20 to 25% comes from protein and less than 5% comes from carbohydrates. Can anybody tell me what they think some of those issues might be? Like what kind of issues this would create for you?
Well, not enough protein, not enough carbs, too much fat.
Yeah, so not enough protein would make it hard to be able to build muscle. It'd be hard to be able to keep the muscle you already have. Tons and tons of fat. I mean, okay, so if you're just gonna go keto, I mean, you see people's plates, they're having like 2 burger patties, bacon, cheese, avocado, and that's what they're eating all the time. And they're like, wow, I'm losing weight. You will lose weight like that, but it's not always the healthiest, right? Less than 5% from carbohydrates. That could be a big problem. Remember you said you were getting a headache? That's because you're cutting out carbs completely. Your brain prefers to run on carbohydrates. If you don't have enough carbohydrates, you're not gonna have enough energy to be able to perform your hard workouts in the gym. So if you're coming in here every day and you don't have the energy to work out, are you gonna be able to see the best results possible? No. Now, you can definitely build some muscle on the ketogenic diet, but it's not optimal, okay? So, the main concerns with keto is muscle loss, retention, and building. Here's a big thing, is that when you guys come to me, you guys, one of your goals is usually to be toned, right? You want more toned arms, you want a bigger butt, you want a flatter stomach, tight waist. That requires being toned. Being toned means adding muscle. okay, getting stronger. If you're not getting enough protein, you're not going to be able to do that very efficiently. Protein is the building blocks to building muscle. So that's like you guys telling me you want me to build you a fence, but you don't have any wood for me. You don't have any nails. You don't have a screwdriver. You're like, there's some branches over there. Figure it out. I could get it. I could probably find a way to get it done, but it's not going to be the best way. Okay, so you can't sit here and say, I want this fence built, and you're not giving it all the tools and the things necessary to create it, right? Not to mention, when it comes to muscle, that has to do with your metabolism, all right? If you lose muscle, guess what's going to be slowing down? Your metabolism, which means you're going to burn less calories, okay? You want that fast metabolism. You want to be like that friend you have that can eat whatever they want, ice cream, in and out, and they never gain a pound. You guys know those people? Yeah. It's you get very jealous, right? You're like, how can they eat whatever they want and they never gain weight? They have a fast metabolism, okay? So for you guys, you might not turn into them overnight and you might not have been blessed with those great genetics, but you can be able to increase your metabolism, and that is by building muscle. So a lot of women think, I don't need to build muscle. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, right? Like I'm trying to burn fat and get toned and be lean. I don't want to be buff and like a Hulk. You're not going to get like that, okay? You guys want to build muscle because that's what's going to make you tone. That's what's going to give you a fat ass, a flat stomach, right? That's what everybody wants. And it increases your metabolism. Wouldn't you want to be able to eat more calories and not gain any weight at all? And not have to just diet super hard? That's what happens when you build muscle. So you got to make sure you're doing that. If you come in here and you're not focused on protein, you're doing a ketogenic diet and your protein is like down here, you're going to be working out, but most of that weight you lose is going to be water and muscle. So you're going to be slowing that metabolism down, okay? Research has shown keto is great for those with Alzheimer's, cancer, seizures. So I know I sound like a keto hater sometimes, but keto is great. Like if you go to the doctor and you're somebody who has cancer or something like that, keto's been proven to help with those disorders, right? Those diseases. But when it comes to losing fat and changing the way you look long term, it's not optimal, okay? Benefits of keto, it's great at rapid weight loss. So if you need to lose 20 pounds for, a competition where you need to weigh a certain amount, it could be great. But if you need to lose fat to actually look different in the mirror, not necessarily the greatest, okay? And it also may have benefits on your cardiovascular health. Drawbacks though, greater risk of losing muscle. We already talked about why that's bad. It's gonna slow your metabolism down and you're gonna be less toned. I don't think anybody here wants to be more flabby, right? No, that's what happens if you lose muscle, okay? Harder time building muscle and strength. We already went over why that's an issue. Greater risk of losing intensity in the gym. If you can't work out hard, you're not going to be able to give your body that stimulus or that signal to be able to see changes, to build muscle and lose more fat. Does that make sense? Many find it difficult to adhere to long term. Like you said, you lasted 2 weeks on a keto diet, right? Yeah. You're super motivated in the beginning, but 2 weeks in and you're like, you're not sleeping good, you're working double time, you're super busy, and now you have to follow this diet that's really hard for you to stick to already. Motivation runs out. Okay, so there's only so long you can stick to that. This is a very important one. In 2021, this is a meta-analysis study that came out in February. And basically a meta-analysis is the gold standard when it comes to research studies by people way smarter than me, doctors, PhDs, okay, Harvard, Stanford, those places. 2021 meta-analysis conducted research on 13 studies on 244 people who did keto, and here's the very interesting part. And they did weight training. This is very important because in the past, like the past 10 years, there's only been studies on keto in people that are obese and that are sedentary, or they're not working out. So this is like you guys. You guys are working out, you're lifting weights. And it showed that 50% of the weight lost was from muscle and water. That's terrible, right? So if you lose 20 pounds, on that scale, remember we got our fat, we got our muscle, and we got our water. 50% of it was this. Half of it was this. Wouldn't you have rather have just lost the 10 pounds of fat and still kept your water and your muscle? Because what happens if we lose both of these? If I'm losing 10 pounds of fat, but at the cost of losing this too, well, congratulations, now you're gonna be more flabby, you're gonna have a slower metabolism. Whereas if you would have done it a different way, you would have lost the fat, and you would have kept that muscle, kept your metabolism high, and you would have been more toned. So it's not all about the total number. It's about what percentage of that is actually fat pounds that you're losing. In 2007, a study at Arizona State showed that if calories are the same, keto versus a non-keto high protein diet, there is no difference in fat loss. So it's not like keto is magically more effective at burning fat than if you were to follow something else. Last thing, some people will say they've never felt better than when they did keto. They had more energy, they can think more clear, all those things. I want you to think about where you're usually at when you start keto. You're usually eating whatever you want, you're having junk food. Any diet would have worked. Any diet would have made you feel better because you're cutting out the bullshit, right? You're cutting out the junk food. So it's not necessarily that this had any magical impact, it's that you changed and got that BS out of your diet, right? You stopped eating tons of carbs all the time and a bunch of bad foods for you. So when it comes to dieting, there's different tiers. There's some people in here that are just starting out with me, some people that have been here with me for 2 years, some people 6 months. There's different levels of advice that you need when it comes to changing your lifestyle, okay? You can't come in here on day one and think you're gonna do everything perfectly. If you join and you're like, okay, coach, what should I be doing and eating to burn fat and get in shape and tone up? And I said, you need to get a gallon of water, you need to hit 200 grams of protein, you need to track your food, eat more vegetables, you need to cut all alcohol, cut out all your sweets and junk food, and be super disciplined. You're gonna say, I'm gonna fail at that, what's the point? Right? It's setting the expectation so freaking high that you can't even sustain that. So what you need to focus on and realize is what area are you at? Are you here in tier number 1? This is where you would want to start at if you are starting from nothing, okay? Fast food. Are you having fast food more than once or twice a week? Do you drink too much alcohol? Only you know that, right? Are you starving yourself? Are you not eating enough calories? Right? I know some people, I tell you guys have 1,400 calories, you're like, that's a lot of calories. I'm like, what are you eating now? And you guys are eating like 800 calories. You're basically starving yourself and you're still not losing weight. Or maybe you're so freaking busy, you're driving around the kids or you're going from one place to another and you're not prioritizing eating. You're not making time to get those meals and you're going 7-8 hours without even getting a meal. You eat maybe once a day, twice a day. That's a big problem, okay? Cleanses, if you're doing some silly shit like apple cider vinegar or drinking soup for, 2 weeks and only that, egg whites only. I see some crazy stuff. If you, do you drink soda, juices, sugary drinks, cookies, candies, cakes, bagels, crackers, chips, heavy dressings, right? You have a salad, but you're putting ranch on it. So you took something that was healthy, you put ranch on it, now you had the same amount of calories as if you had a burger from McDonald's. Yeah? Butters. Maybe you're having egg whites, which is a healthy meal, but before you cook it, you put 2 tablespoons of butter in the pan, right? Now you just added 200-300 calories to it. It's things like this. Start here. If you're here, cut these things out first, okay, before you start trying to do the advanced stuff. If you have that stuff down, now you want to move over to tip number 2, or tier 2 rather, and that's re-education. This is the things that you think are healthy, but they're actually not. Okay? And what I mean is, let's say salted nuts, for example. Who's heard that almonds and peanut butter is good for you? Healthy for you, good source of fats, right? Here's the problem though. Some people say, oh, it's a healthy food, and then they eat handfuls and handfuls of it throughout the day like a snack. And it has tons of calories, right? Fats have almost twice the amount of, more than 2 times the amount of calories as proteins and carbs. So never forget this. Just because it's a healthy food doesn't mean you can eat unlimited amounts of it. You can still get fat eating healthy foods. You have to have them in certain amounts, in moderation, depending on what your calorie limits are, okay? Sushi, fish. Who's heard fish is good for you? Omega-3s, all that good stuff? Yeah. Sushi is not the same as, grilled tilapia. You know what I'm saying? But people will go to that instead of having the cheeseburger. Breaded or chicken with skin. Everyone's heard chicken is a great source of protein, right? But fried chicken versus a grilled chicken breast, it's a big difference. Or you're still eating chicken with the skin on it, like you're having chicken legs or thighs, still having the skin. So yeah, you're getting your protein, but you're getting a lot of grams of fat in there as well. Okay, so that can end up screwing you over in the end as well. Processed meats, so deli meats, things like turkey meat. First of all, when have you ever seen turkey come in a ball? Like, that is not real at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is so processed, and it doesn't mean it's good for you just because it's turkey breast. Is it actual turkey, like ground turkey, or is it like turkey from a ball that's been sliced up and put on your sandwich? If you've done these two things, don't forget, you're gonna be seeing progress at each one of these. So even if you're not tracking your food, you're not getting your gallon of water, you're not getting all your protein in, if you start cutting out these basic things, you're gonna lose, a good amount of weight just from that. Then you move over here and you start limiting the amounts of this stuff that you have, you're gonna see progress here too. So once you've done these two things and milked the amount of, results you're gonna get from this, then you move over to the fine tuning. This is the hardest ones because these are the ones you have to be the most consistent with, okay? Tracking your food. Use an app like MyFitnessPal, tracking what food you're eating, how many calories, proteins, carbs, fats. You need to be able to know these things. If you don't know how many grams of protein you got yesterday, you're not on top of it, right? You're basically, shooting a gun with a blindfold on. You don't know what you're hitting. But you're like, yeah, well, I'm getting protein. Do you know how many of you guys, and not you guys in particular, but ladies that come to me, clients that come to me and I say, how's your protein intake? It's pretty good. I'm getting a good amount of protein in. And they're getting like 50 grams a day. And they don't even know because they just started tracking. They thought that they were getting enough. Okay? Adequate amounts of protein. If there's one thing that you could start doing right now and not change anything else, it's going to be getting 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein. Okay? If you weigh 150 pounds, 150 grams of protein. If you're 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein. If you look at your sheet of paper, it says right there at the bottom how many grams of protein you should be getting per day. If you were to focus on either your proteins, carbs, or fats, which one should you focus on? Get to the protein goal every single day consistently. Your body will see a huge change just from that. Okay? Nobody here has a hard time getting enough carbs, right? Or getting enough fats. Everyone here struggles with getting enough protein. And I'm going to show you in the next slide how to get that very easily. Getting your gallon of water in. Okay, if you're not doing that now, work on it. Work on drinking a gallon of water. First thing in the morning, be drinking your water. Okay? More vegetables and then supplements. But this is where people want to start. What supplements can I take, right? Fat burners. What things can I take that are going to help me lose weight faster? Start here. Okay, you guys are trying to focus on the things down here that are in the fine tuning stage and you haven't addressed these yet. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Start with the basic stuff first, get this down, and then we can move on to here. 7 easy ways to get 50 grams of protein. How many people here have a hard time getting their protein goal? Every one of you except maybe 2. Every single one of you. Take note of this. 7 easy ways. If you did one of these every single day, that's 50 grams right there. And if you look on your piece of paper right now in the protein section, look how many grams of protein you should be getting a day. Okay? And then just add it up. If you need 150, you need 3 of these in a day. If you need 200, you need 4 of these options in a day. And some of you guys don't even need that. Okay? So 2 scoops of whey protein. If it's got 25 grams in each scoop, you double that up, that's how many? That's 50 grams right there. Yes. That's one quick meal on the way home from the gym. You already are closer to your goal. 6 ounces of chicken breast, easy. 6 ounces of ground turkey, easy. 6 ounces of top sirloin steak, easy. 8 ounces of salmon, 6 ounces of tilapia, or 8 ounces of canned albacore tuna, so like 2 of them. Put them together. It's not enough to just say, I had some chicken. How much chicken did you have? If you only had 4 ounces, you only got like 15 grams. So make sure you're getting the right amount. That's why it's important to have a food scale. You don't need to weigh everything forever. You don't need to bring it to the restaurant, but at least for make a commitment to yourself that, for 3 months, I'm gonna track every single thing so that when I'm done, I can eyeball it now. Right now, you can't look at it and say, this is 6 ounces of ground turkey. You have no idea. You're lying to yourself if you think you can. If you're just like, oh, this looks like enough. Be strategic with it, okay? If you want to see success and you want to step on that scale every week and see the number going down, or more often than not, be on top of it. okay? I'm laying out the blueprint for you, but you can look at this all day, and if you're not doing anything about it, you're not putting it into action, you're making excuses, and if you think your situation's too hard, remember there's always somebody out there who has it harder than you, who has a more stressful day, who's busier than you, who has less resources, less money, less support around them, that's finding a way to get it done, okay? Just remember what your goal is and how much it means to you. And we all have different reasons for what that is. If it's insecurity, if it's wanting to prove somebody wrong, whatever the case is, you have to know what that is for yourself. For me, I got into working out because I didn't like being the fat kid in school. I didn't like getting picked on. I felt like no girl would ever like me if I was overweight. That's what got me into it, and that's what drove me. I went through a breakup, and it helped me cope with that, to come back and be better. So figure out what that is for you, okay? Maybe you're not in that stage, but there is some reason why you're doing this, and it's more than just, I want to fit into a size 30 pants, you know what I'm saying? So find what that is. So this is where we get into carb cycling. Okay, I'm gonna rush through this because I know you guys gotta get out of here. This, by far, is probably the most effective one and the most effective one at being able to adhere to it. Carb cycling is where we strategically manipulate your carb intake between high and low days, creating your calorie deficit that is easier to adhere to for many people, and it promotes fat loss while still retaining muscle. Sounds like a great plan, doesn't it? Sounds like exactly what you'd want. Lose fat, keep your muscle, and it's easy to stick to. Okay, let's break it down. This is gonna be for the person who doesn't necessarily wanna track their stuff. If you're not at the point where you wanna track everything or you wanna eat the same thing every day, if you don't have that locked in, here's another great option for you to create that deficit, okay? And by deficit, I just mean eating less calories than your body needs to sustain its weight. That's the only way you're gonna lose fat, okay? So high carb days, you wanna structure those on your training days. So it never wants to be on just a rest day. If you're doing it the right way, you want it to be on your weight training day, your cardio day, when you're gonna be training hard. Low carb days wanna be on, an easy cardio day like boxing, or on your rest days, like the weekends when you're not active, when you're not burning 600, 700 calories in a day, okay? So a low carb day, if you were to just eyeball it, if you're not at the point where you're going to make the commitment to get a measuring scale and track everything, and you wanna eyeball it, here's another method for you. Okay, it's not optimal, but this is better than nothing. Okay, it's better than saying, well, I'm not gonna track, so I might as well just do whatever. This is that in between. On your low carb day, half of your food, or half of your plate rather, wants to be protein. Okay? Don't have chicken, salmon, shrimp, don't have all that on the same plate. But half of your plate wants to be steak, or half of it wants to be egg whites for breakfast. Half of it wants to be shrimp. A quarter of it wants to be green vegetables, not corn, not peas. And you want to have a little bit of fat, okay? A little bit, not too much, don't overdo it. Just remember, while low carb days, your fats can go up. But if you have a high carb day, your fats need to stay low. You never want to have high carbs and high fats. You're definitely going to go over on your calories. Okay? On your low carb day, we're going to be in about a 700 calorie deficit from our daily energy expenditure, or your TDEE, which is going to be on your sheet. Only carbs from veggies and indirect sources. So on your low carb days, the only way you're getting carbs is as a byproduct from, your protein shake, a couple grams there, or from vegetables. You're not having bread, no pasta, none of that. On your low carb days, it's protein and fats and veggies, water. That's it. Okay? Very simple way. You're not gonna do that every single day, of course, but on the low days, that's what we're doing to make sure that we're still seeing progress. Keep your protein high. You got to, 1 to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight, and we already went over how to reach that. Okay? High carb day. You want to cut back on the protein a little bit, so don't have, half of your plate, have a little bit less, not 1 gram per pound of body weight, maybe, 0.75, a little bit less. So if you're normally having 200 grams, go to like 125, 150.
Wait, when do you want to do the high carb?
We're going to go over that next. But for the high carb day, less protein, a lot of carbs, okay? Rice, oatmeal, potatoes, bread, fruit, okay? And then pasta, bread, and much less fat, okay? Because carbs are going up, fats have to go down for that day. We don't want to have both of them high. So your high carb day is not a cheat day. Your high carb day is not, I'm going to eat whatever I want day, and I'm going to have cakes and candies and cakes and beers all day. High carb day is strategically having higher amounts of carbs in the healthy choices that we've went over already, okay? High carb day, we're gonna increase your carbs to maintenance. You need to reduce fats, lower your protein. We went over that already. Here's a little schedule for you guys that you guys can follow. And you can swap these around, but a couple things. You wanna make sure you never have 2 high carb days back to back, and you wanna have at least 2 to 3 low carb days consecutively. So don't go high carb, low carb, high carb, high carb, low carb. So maybe on Monday you're having a high carb to start the week off, your first workout of the week, and then Tuesday, low, Wednesday, low, Thursday, low. By this point, you're gonna be like, I need some carbs, okay? Friday, high carb day after your weigh-ins. And on the weekends, go back to low and low. And you can structure this around. Maybe Tuesday is your high carb day and Saturday is your high carb day. You can adjust it depending on, what your lifestyle is like. But this is great because you're not cutting your carbs and saying I can never have carbs again. You're like, okay, I really want carbs, but for the next 3 days, I'm not doing it. But I know on day 4, I get to have carbs. And I get to have a lot of them. Okay, it's easier mentally than to just try to stick to it forever. Last thing, I just want to give you guys some closing tips. Eat plenty of vegetables to keep yourself feeling full on those days where you're having low carbs, okay? If you're only having protein and a little bit of fats, eat a lot of vegetables to fill up your stomach, okay? Don't obsess. Don't obsess over the scale. Don't stress too much about what that number is on there. Don't worry too much if you hit your protein goal exactly, if you're a little bit under, a little bit over, as long as you were close enough, okay? Take a fiber supplement, because if you get a lot of protein and you're not getting enough fiber, you will be the most constipated, the most. And you might step on that scale and you might see that no weight went down, but really you lost fat, but you just have like 4 pounds of shit in your colon that you haven't got out. Okay, so take fiber so you can get that out. 2 more. You're gonna be cranky on low carb days. This is normal, right? You're gonna be irritable. Carbs are like a drug, all right? Don't do this if you cannot consistently reach your protein goal. So hit your protein goal first. Make sure that that number on your piece of paper, you're hitting that every single day before you start trying to do this, okay? Don't think about doing anything else until you get that protein goal down. And I'm here to help you guys every step of the way, all right? And above all else, just remember, when you're feeling not so motivated, remember why you're doing this. Okay? Because there's gonna be days where you're like, I don't feel like doing this, or I'm not seeing progress and you wanna give up, or life's getting hard and you wanna put your fitness on the back burner. Remember what got you in here. And I know for everybody in here, it's something deeper than just, having a flat stomach, looking, weighing a little bit less. So everybody here has a different reason. Maybe that's not yours, but it's something. Right? Maybe it's when you're getting dressed in the morning, you're tired of always having to pull your shirt down because you feel like it's clinging to you too much. Or you're tired of going shopping and you don't like the way the clothes look on you. Or somebody called you fat and it really gets to you. Figure out what that thing is and remind yourself of that when you're starting to feel unmotivated. Because that's what's going to drive you to keep going and keep going. All right? I hope you guys learned something today. Do you guys have any questions for me?